Booyah, we're live. Alright, so this episode is sponsored by 2022. It is also the stepbrother of 2021, who is the brother of 2020. Because this year is full of punches and surprises for everybody. Alright, so people have been noticing that a lot of companies that they're buying from are raising their shipping cost and prices. Or, you know, if you're a reseller on Amazon or eBay, you've been noticing that your shipping costs have been going up every day. And it's a bit weird because none of them are posting price increases so far. And they've all had their price increases in January or in 2021. So it's a bit, you're noticing that when you're buying something, the price is going up. Or if you're trying to ship something, you're noticing your price is going up with no explanation. So I'm going to try to explain what's happening to the why shipping prices are going up. I'm going to explain what we as a company at Toy Store Man are going to do for our shipping prices and what our plans are for shipping. So in order to start the story, we got to talk about the US and Canadian Post Office. So the US Post Office last year in 2021, they made a loss of just under 5 billion, like 4.9 billion. And you're thinking, oh wow, 5 billion, that's a huge loss to make for 1 year, right? And well, yes, it sounds huge, but if you put it in perspective, in 2020, they lost 9 billion. And now you're like, oh, a 5 billion loss doesn't sound too bad now, does it? It's still huge. At the end of the day, the US Post Office is a government-funded post office, you know, and I understand why. The US government sees it as a service, just like hospitals, police department, fire department. It's just a mandatory service that needs to be happening. Well, and it makes perfect sense that this is a government-funded program because at the end of the day, all the citizens use it and businesses benefit greatly from it. Like right now, like when people ask me who's my competitor, I don't say it's some local retailer nearby here in Canada. Actually, my competitors are probably a US retailer because US retailers are able to use the cheaper shipping rates and ship to my Canadian customers here in Canada that are cheaper than me be shipping it to them. So if I was to ship to a Canadian customer, I'd be paying more in shipping than a US company shipping towards a Canadian customer. It's a bit weird how that works, but the reason why is because the Canadian Post Office is something called a Crown Corp. So Crown Corps are different. They are not usually funded by the government. They are meant to be self-funded and they provide their own, so then they're for profit and they try to, you know, generate money to run the business itself. And well, while this means that the taxpayers in Canada don't provide for the post office, it does mean that we all kind of suffer paying the higher postage because the post office needs to make money in order to keep running.
If he dies, he dies.
So anyway, so that's where the divergence is between, you know, the Canada Post Office and the US Post Office. I mean, I totally understand why the US Post Office makes its loss because, well, it helps all the companies in the US now become a bit more competitive on a global scale. Well, they can ship at a cheaper rate than their competitors that are in other countries because, well, the US is helping fund it. I hope that, I honestly kind of sucks here in Canada that it's harder for us. We sell a lot of the same products. The US kind of outshadows us just because, you know, a US company will make the same amount or more profit than a Canadian company selling the exact same product just because their shipping is a bit subsidized by the US government. But anyway, that's like another story altogether. We're not gonna deal into politics here. So we're gonna talk about why there is a price increase for the both of us either way. And that is because when you're paying for shipping, there are usually 3 costs associated. One is your base rate. So your base rate is what you would expect it. It's like, oh, I want to ship something from this state to this state, and the more farther it is, the more I'm going to pay. That just makes sense. That's the base rate. And you're like, okay, well, I'm shipping in the same city, so, you know, it should be the lowest amount of base rate. The other charge is something called fuel surcharge, and the other thing is called your tax. Well, so base rate. The base rate has not changed since January over here. So the last time there was a base rate increase was in January. So like every year they increase the base rate just by a bit, or I mean, a lot in the last few years, just because, you know, last 2 years, if you don't know what's happening, go watch that now, then come back here. You know, don't leave me. All right. So, yeah, if you haven't realized what was happening the last 2 years, there's plenty of reasons of why the base rate has gone up on those ones. But there hasn't been a base rate increase as of late. And that is because the fuel surcharge is what's increasing the pricing. And post office side have not been announcing it because the base rate, the fuel surcharge has always changed by the month. So in Canada Post, the fuel surcharge at Canada Post changes by the month, and like FedEx will change it weekly. And so, like example, like less than a year ago, the fuel surcharge was 9% here in Canada. So let's just say 10%. And right now it is at 31%. Next month it is going to be at 35%. So this is like a, 50, 20, 25% increase or difference. And obviously now this is how the fuel surcharge works is, let's say your base rate is $20 and your fuel surcharge is 10%. It means that you're just going to pay $22 in total plus tax, and you're going to ship out your product. But right now, with the fuel surcharge being at 35%, on that $20 base rate, you're going to be paying $7 as your fuel surcharge. And then if you add tax, like here in Quebec, it's 15%. So you're going to pay $31 to ship out that item that you had a base rate of $20. And then you're like, wow, that's the 35% increase. But like, nobody announced that there was a 35% increase. Well, that's just because it was the base rate, which is always changing, and it's always been there. That's essentially why right now a lot of companies are being shocked, because like, what? Why is our shipping going up? The post office didn't change our base rate. Why are we paying more to ship the same product? And it's exactly tied to the fuel surcharge. So hopefully that makes it clear as to why you're seeing so many price changes recently, even though that there's no announcements from the post office of increasing the prices. It's just that because it's connected to the fuel surcharge, which is directly correlated to the price of gas. Yeah, within 1 year, you see the price of gas go from $1 all the way to $2. So it has literally doubled, and only us as consumers are seeing a price change and not understanding why, because it's like, what? I just made the shipment last month, but last month the fuel surcharge has increased till now. And the post offices, they don't declare the fuel surcharge because they've never declared the fuel surcharge. They just have a chart saying, here's our fuel surcharge, and they was hoping that like the price of gas doesn't change that much from month to month. But in these recent times, yes, gas has changed that much in months to month.
It's so bad! It's so bad! It's so bad!
So what's our response to this? Well, in 2022, so for the company, I decided like, I'm just gonna absorb the loss for a few months and see how it goes, and hopefully the price of gas will come back down and everything be normal. Through these calculations, I figured out I am bad at math, because the prices never went down and they're only going upwards. So we have to do a few changes. So what are we doing? For our flat rate, no change. We're just keeping it exactly as is. $11.99 shipping anywhere in Canada or US, flat rate. So that's not changing. So if you're somebody that buys from us 1 or 2 figures, no change. Sorry, you just watched 5 minutes of this video and there's no change. Hopefully you learned something though. For the people who are getting free shipping, so we've moved our free shipping from free shipping over $99 to free shipping over $125. So US or Canada, you're perfectly fine there. So we're changing exactly as our fuel surcharge went from 10 to 35%. So we're just changing it by that much. Yeah, we're just ignoring all the other inflation of rent and employees and whatever materials, and hopefully that'll all balance out eventually. So, and we are also maintaining our add to stash / ship it later option. So, if you're just buying one figure and you don't want to pay shipping, you want to have it shipped later, we still have that option available at our checkout. So just go to checkout, hit store pickup, and you'll see the ship it later option. So then your figure will just be here kept aside once it's ready, and then when you have enough for free shipping, just email us saying, hey, I have these 3 orders, whatever, and they qualify for free shipping. We'll just ship them out. We'll just, put them in one box and ship it up to you, no problem. Shouldn't be any change for those people who are not time sensitive, because they can just keep adding to their stash for up to 6 months long and then have it all shipped out later. So that should be all right. So it should be, I'm trying to be as least disruptive to everybody's like behaviors and patterns. So hopefully this works out for everybody. I'm just trying to be real transparent with why I'm doing what I'm doing. Otherwise, have fun everybody, stay frosty.